What's up, y'all? H-Town, Houston, all around. I had to change it up this time just because it's all over the friggin' place. Welcome to the Dash Dispatch, or welcome back to the Dash Dispatch. You know my name or my ugly mug. I'm OSG, optimistic soccer guy today because we're about to preview the Dash season with me tonight. Andres, the dynamic foxtrot. Bro, what's going on?
Hey man, pretty good. When we hear that song playing, it's going down. And man, this time it's big because we got a
Mm-hmm.
massive episode ahead of the season opener this Friday.
Woo, you are not kidding. When he said massive episode, y'all probably be like, where y'all been for a minute? You know, yeah, 12, 13 days since the last episode. So we've been saving up for the big preview. This is going to be kind of late. You got a couple days before the opener on Friday night. But man, we're going to talk tonight amongst ourselves and get a few things out of there, let you know our perspective, and let you know our thoughts. But also, man, we have two humongous interviews tonight to share with you. And one is Dustyn Richardson from the Bayou City Soccer. He's going to join us and talk about it. I had the pleasure of sitting down with him, and then later on, both of us had the pleasure of sitting down with Theo Lloyd-Hughes and talking Dash soccer. Man, so it's a full episode of Dash. Everything you need to know, want to know. I hope we didn't miss anything through this episode. So, if you're ready, let's get into it. I got you for an hour. So, yeah, sit down, drive in that Houston traffic, get ready for it. If you're somewhere else, just enjoy, please enjoy. But man, Andres, let's start. She Believes has been a minute since it happened. Since a minute since we talked as well, but the final against Japan, USA did not prevail, but Jane Campbell did get the start, so
Mm-hmm.
that's good news. Yasmin Ryan did get the start as well. That's good news, but did not get the win. But let's not worry about the game itself. That was Japan playing full force. We're still kind of trying to figure it out. But Jane Campbell got the start. We talked about last time if she got the start, this might kind of lead to her being the number one keeper for the U.S. Women's National Team. How do you feel about that after the start and her performance? Do we feel the same?
100%. She definitely has all the focus for the national team, and that's her spot to keep now. And obviously, the team's going to be telling a lot when it comes to her keeping the spot. And I'm 100% confident she's going to be keeping it.
Yeah.
And really, yeah, I did watch the game against Japan. It was going to be a tough game, like we talked about previously. Japan, one of the best teams in the world, too, and it was going to take them a perfect game to beat them. But I'm more than happy that she was able to get the start. Same goes for Jasmine Ryan, and yeah, just looking forward to the women's national team moving forward.
Yeah, and of course, that first goal could be questionable. There's a thousand questions. Who did what? Who did what wrong? Blah, 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 blah. But Jane Campbell is the best keeper in the NWSL and deserves that opportunity. We hope she gets it, and she will have that opportunity more coming forth. But, the coach is exploring her options and seeing what opportunity. It was only 3 games, so it was 2 for one and 1 for the other. She could have split the halves. She didn't. She played Jane the whole time. So that leads us to prevail that Jane's the keeper. Yasmin Ryan did get the start, but of course we do know a lot of players were missing. Mallory Swanson, Sophie Wilson, who getting married, is pregnant, so going to be out for a while. Trinity Rodman wasn't there, who plays Yasmin Ryan's position as well. So do you think Yasmin Ryan, is she going to be like the super sub, or is she going to have that opportunity to break that starting lineup?
So for now, obviously, depending on like on whatever happens to Trini Rodman down the road, because she's been on a run lately, and I don't feel like Jasmine Ryan is going to be starting
No.
anytime soon unless she earns it. But then again, it's going to be very difficult.
Yasmin is very versatile as well too, so she could play multiple positions. She doesn't have to play the left wing, the right wing. She play in the midfield. So whatever her need is, she played on the right wing for those games, and she believes. So looking forward to what she's going to do. But both those players will be missing a lot of dash time this year with the camps. So hopefully it won't be too many games, but we'll trust in the players that take over Yasmin. As far as keeper, that'll still be a question, but I think we're going to go with Abby Smith as backup. But let's move on, man. To next thing, kit reveal. So I don't even need to talk. Let's just play the video. Let the people get hyped. Everybody's
Oh
seen it.
man.
Yeah,
Oh
everybody's
man.
seen it.
Out of chaos, a new star is born. From storms of cosmic dust and energy, a new light emerges. Stronger, brighter, unstoppable. Sparked by the past and fueled by what's next. A new star rises up, becoming a beacon of hope, radiating strength, shining with purpose.
Ordonez, go! 1-0 Houston!
The Houston Dash are destined to shine and ready to go beyond.
11 out of 10, 12 out of 10, 13 out of 10.
New hashtag is go beyond now. So now that I've seen that for the 1,000th time, I got to remember that the new hashtag is go beyond. Go beyond. I'll even add the Dash logo behind it, or behind it. So man, I love it, bro. Love it. Can't wait to get it. Can't wait to see what else they can do with like T-shirts and other stuff for the merch, bro. But I mean, your opinion. You said 11 out of 12. That was just a preview. What about the jersey?
Hey man, the jersey itself, I don't think there's anything I need to add to make it better because it's already perfect. And I have the fortune of getting my job to give me like a Nike gift card so I can get the jersey, which is on its way here. And man, I'm so hyped about the jersey and the way it's gonna look on the field. Like, hopefully they'll wear it on an opening day. We'll see, but I doubt it. but honestly, I'm looking forward to how like this season in particular is gonna go, and all the girls just like looking sharp as always.
They're gonna look really good, really good. So man, it's purple and orange. It's purple and orange. But opening day will be orange. I mean, it should be
Yeah,
orange. It should be orange. Even
of
though
course.
the Spirit are going to be this all yellow neon, as we saw in the Challenge Cup last week. I hope you got to see the Challenge Cup. I think you said you saw
Yeah.
the highlights. I actually watched the game. That was a damn good game. Orlando, the champions, versus the Shields, Washington Spirit. Washington Spirit just couldn't make it all the way to the end, but. Man, this game was just awesome. Orlando up 1-0, and the Washington Spirit came back and tied it on a free kick from Santos. Who, Jesus Christ, she's going to be a star in the NWSL. She's great, and she's just taking over somebody who was hurt. She's a star to me. So don't take her out the lineup. She's going to be scary this weekend as we play her. But they ended up winning the penalty kicks. Washington is tough, man. Defense. Orlando brung it the entire game, and Washington just stuck it up. Their keeper was making save after save after save after save. Washington's ready for it. They're the real deal. Trinity Rodman did not perform. She was still listed as injured. We'll have to wait a couple days after this episode is released to find out whether or not she's going to be on the injured list or be available to play against us. I hope she's not. But, whatever. Let's play Washington and let's see how this game goes, man. But man, I don't know, but that's crazy. Just ready for it.
We'll see, man. It's a lot of questions with how the team's gonna look. Although I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
But then again, we're facing probably the second best team in the league. So
Pretty close to it, or damn, yeah. They're not, and they have a lot of injuries, so they're gonna improve. But we'll come back to Washington later in the show, man. Let's go back to the last preseason game against Dallas Trinity, where my horn, Lexi Missimo, went to and plays for. So we got to take on them. There was no details in this one. I guess being away, we don't want to list the starting lineup for some reason. If we're home, we'll list the starting lineup, even though you're there at both times. So we don't know who played in this game much except for the one little highlight video. But Dallas Trinity, it ended up being a 1-1 game in this preseason game, which I'm fine with. I'm not going to put it off to nothing. Dallas Trinity is still a good team to play with. But we did have a goal, and we do have a video of it. There's not much to tell from it, but let's see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. Because they were there, we just know Maggie Graham is the one who scored it. Sarah Puttingham is the one who took the free kick from there. It was hard to tell. It looked like it bounced around. Somebody missed something. It was one of those that fall to my feet and I score. But Maggie Graham's not no joke. Anyways, she's a good player, a lot of potential, and could be somebody that's going to be a very good depth piece in playing something. But man, did you take anything from this preseason game?
I mean, there's not much we can really say other than that the goal was scored in fact because we have video and nothing else.
That was it, right?
But I mean, it's great that we're playing opposition like Dallas Trinity, despite being like a a Super League team. And Lexi Missimo will continue the agenda no matter what, but she seems pretty solid. But yeah, man, that's all I can take out of this game.
Yeah, one last thing before we break into some other good information. Yuki retired, man. I'm okay with that. I always kind of complained how much we used her last season and we weren't using other players. But Yuki's Yuki. She's a star. She's a stud. I love her and she did a great job. But man, tell me what you think about Yuki and your feelings for her.
Honestly, I'm a little bit sad. I was hoping for her to like play like one more year on this like great team. I feel like she was able to provide some more of her energy. Like she's just being able to be that type of utility player last year, despite how the season ended. But all the games that I've seen from her last year, she was just very key in a lot of opportunities. And honestly, like she retired, I'm still happy for her, despite me being sad that I'm not able to see her play again. But I congratulations to Yuki for an amazing career, just all over the world, and yeah, we'll be supporting her like off the field.
Absolutely. I still follow her on Twitter. She still posts. She's on YouTube as well. So, hey, y'all follow her. She's going to be that smile as always. But, hey, I think it's time to move on to the best part of the show. What everybody, I think, who's listening or tuned in to listen to is really intrigued into listening to. So, the first interview that I want to take us to is Dustyn Richardson from Bayou City Soccer. I was able to sit down with him and talk Houston Dash. I asked a lot of questions, so let's just, let's have a good time in the interview. And we learned about Bayou City. Well, we didn't learn because I've been listening to them anyways, but they also have a new Dash podcast coming out with the what is it, the orange and blue. The orange and blueprints. Sorry, man, I can't believe I butchered that. It's the orange and blueprints with Manny Diego sitting there doing that show. So another Dash podcast out there. So we're gonna get Woso up in arms and get it out there, man. I'm sure you saw on Twitter today. I was reaching out to the Woso network and looking for friends and found some friends and. We're gonna kind of grow, and we're gonna talk Houston Dash and the NWSL, and hopefully some U.S. Women's National Team as well, since they play a lot. But man, I think I'm done. Let's take you into the first one with Dustyn, the interview. Boom. What's up, y'all? This is the Dash Dispatch. We're in the Foxtrot Studios, and today with us, we are lucky to have Dustyn from Bayou City Soccer. Welcome in, Dustyn, and thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Man, I'm ready to pick your brain. You're lucky enough to get to go to all the press conferences, and you're getting to talk to the coach and meet the coach. I believe you met him in person. So let's start with him. And what are your first impressions on Fabrice Gautreau? He is obviously a rookie head coach. He only has 2 years assistant coach in the league as the main assistant coach. He was with Chicago as well. But what's your impressions of Fabrice, and what should the fans expect from Fabrice Gautreau? I'm sure I'm butchering the last name.
Gautreau.
Gautreau. All right.
So, yeah, I mean, he's, from early indications, he seems to be pretty, knowledgeable. Like he seems very tactically based. He seems very, that modern kind of soccer brain kind of person where he's very in tune with tactics and game models and all those buzzwords that you hear all the new coaches talk about. And he seems to be one of those guys that he commands um, he commands the team. He seems to have them playing the way he's going to want to play them. He keeps talking about building these different things and different types of for different types of the game. So I think he's yeah, like you said, he's never been a head coach before, so that's going to be interesting to see how he handles being the man. But so far, I'm looking forward to see what he does.
Is is he going to bring with him implements from what he did with what he learned at North Carolina in his previous stints? And obviously implement his own thing? Is it going to be similar?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty similar. You have North Carolina's a very possession based team. They're pretty unique in that way. They're almost like the Dynamo, um, in a way. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. When you look at their team, they kind of have some pieces that are similar to the way the Dynamo would do play now. Like you could play Avery Patterson in Griffin Dorsey's role. You could play, Barb like in a Coco role. So it's interesting to see how he's going to put it together. Friday night's going to be an interesting when we get that lineup.
Yeah, for real. No kidding. So he was at North Carolina before his stint coming to here, but right before he joined North Carolina, Deanna Ordonez was in North Carolina, so she learned that system, understand that system. Is there going to be familiarity? Well, let's start off with the first question that everybody wants to know: is Deanna Ordonez hurt?
That's a good question. I happened to be at the meet the team thing the other day, and Deanna was not there. She was one of the only players that did not show up.
Man,
There was no, I don't know why or what she had. She may have had prior engagements, but just as a fact, she was not there.
yeah.
So I don't know. She had that shoulder surgery towards the end of last season. Um, so I don't know if that's I don't think we ever got a timetable, like is it a 3 month thing? Is it a 6 month thing? But bringing in Messiah Bright, I think kind of maybe foreshadowed some of
Yeah.
that because she's been a striker in the NWSL before. She's had a really good rookie season, so yeah, it might be Messiah Bright early on.
Man, that's unfortunate. Well, they need. I guess we'll find out on what Thursday when they release the final rosters. So hopefully they'll turn that SEI into available.
Yeah.
But speaking of Ordonez, she was back with North Carolina 3 years ago in her rookie season and had a spectacular year for her. And then she left, came here. Fabrice joined in. So if she does get to come in and play with us, you think this is going to be something that's going to benefit her with the style, and maybe we can get the Deanna Ordonez that we expected? Because first year was kind of slow. Last year, 7 goals. She did okay, but she missed some time. What can we get from Ordonez?
Yeah, that's the big question mark, I think, with this team, right? Like it kind of what we saw with the Dynamo, like if Ponce scores goals, they'll be good. I think it's kind of the same with the Dash. If Ordonez can get, 8, 10, 12 goals this year, then they'll probably be pretty good. It's just where, is that Ordonez going to show up? Like you said, she had 11 goals her rookie season, and then I think she's only had like 8 or 9 in the 2 years she's been in Houston. So it's a huge question mark, right? Like you see her play and you see the talent she has, and she's big and tall and fast, and she's like a perfect striker athlete, right? But it's just for some reason it hasn't come together under multiple coaches. So hopefully Fabrice is that guy to kind of unlock her.
Well, hopefully she gets back from that injury soon enough and we can utilize her, 'cause I think she's going to have an opportunity. I think it fits. But let's move on. Yasmin Ryan, 19 goal contributions last year. 19, that's crazy. And then they just sell her off. I know there's a lot going on in Gotham. Can and will that translate to this season with Yasmin Ryan? And I know she's going to be a pivotal piece to this team.
Yeah, I think Yasmin is kind of the superstar now. She's what 25, I think. Still, she's a full national team player at this point. We saw her basically as the starting right winger for the U.S. with Trinity Rodman out. So, I mean, there's a lot on her plate, I think, this year. Like you said, she had big goal and assist numbers last season. Can she translate that to Houston in a very different team? You mentioned Gotham. She was kind of on a super team with Gotham, and now she comes to the Dash and it's not so much a super team. Hopefully
Right.
building to that, right? But
Right.
it's kind of like she goes from being, just one of the girls on the team to now the star. And so it's can she make that leap? I think she can. She's super, we've seen her with the national team. She's so good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She takes players on. She can score on her own. She can set up. So I think she's going to be huge this year in what Fabrice does. I mean, kind of building the team around her almost.
A Obviously we don't get to see much idea of where she's going to be utilized. Everybody's expecting the right wing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to because you have so many wingers. I feel like on this team, like you have Ryan, you have Ramona Bachman's back. Avery Patterson's probably going to play on a wing. Now, is that like a fullback pushing up as a wing? Fabrice has talked about wanting to play her higher up the field. So does that mean she's like an actual winger, and they play with more defenders? But I think Ryan is the one you can write in Sharpie at right
Oh
wing. I
yeah.
feel like
Depending on the formation, of course. Yeah.
right.
So you mentioned Bachman has returned to the team finally. Last press conference, she I don't think maybe had one practice or didn't even have the one practice yet. So I'm sure this what is it Wednesday when talking to coach again, you'll get to hear a little bit more about Bachman. But I think she's got a lot going on with her family, bringing in a new addition to the family. She's still playing with her national team. The big question is, will she be available more than last year? And then can she be an integral piece to this team?
Yeah, that's like I wrote about the forwards this season, today at Bayou City Soccer, and it's like Bachman is just you don't know like if she's available and she can play. We've seen
Yeah.
she's a world class player. I mean, obviously she's been at PSG and Chelsea and the biggest clubs in the world.
Right.
But she's 34. Like you mentioned, her wife is expecting a child, so at some point she's going to be probably going back to Europe for some time. Um, it's and she just got here, so she kind of has to learn everything, right? Like she
Yeah. Yeah.
missed pretty much 90% of the preseason. So yeah, where is Ramona Bachman physically, mentally, fitness wise? Yeah,
So probably for the coach, it's hard to already know in the future where she is going to be missing this and missing that. It's going to be hard to use her as maybe as a starting piece or utilize her when you can while she's there. I guess I don't know. That's just a tough thing to do when you're trying to build a team over a year. But speaking of, you have a lot of new players on this team. There's a lot of new, same core, but new players. Westfall, Colaprico, Sheehan, Bright. You mentioned Graham, the rookie from Duke. Of course, Abby Smith, the keeper. You know, will they be? Will these players be contributing as starters or depth? And who or any of those will they stand out to you this season?
I think the one that's definitely going to probably start and hopefully stand out will be Sheehan. She was pretty much a starter with Gotham for most of her
Hmm.
time there. She's kind of going to be in that 8 role, I would imagine, behind Barb probably. But I think she's one of those midfielders that kind of she does a little bit of everything. She's one of those um, midfielders that coaches love because you can throw them out there and you know what you're going to get. And with if they play a 3-player midfield with a 6, an 8, a 10, it's probably Sheehan, Barb, and then either Sophie Colaprico as a 6. So I think Sheehan, her and Ryan have played
A
together
lot
at
of
Gotham.
chemistry.
They have a lot of chemistry. They're dating, I believe, as well. So they have very much good chemistry, I hope. So you
Wow.
have that you have that you have that kind of built-in midfield forward. So you're kind of building that they're kind of building the team in layers, which is, what they needed.
It's something new, and I'm intrigued. I've been paying attention to the whole off season, all the moves, and you know, I'm optimistic soccer guy half the time. And I like going by that instead of old soccer guy. But I'm interested with all these new players too. And you mentioned Sheehan and Colaprico. We'll probably expect Westfall is going to might have to help out on the defensive end late in games, probably if we can hold a win. You mentioned Messiah Bright might have to step him up and might be the starting striker. I don't know, but moving on, you mentioned Barb, who is the new number 10 officially announced today. I think we knew for a couple of days she was the new number 10, but I love the number 10. My easy question is, can she be the team MVP this season?
I have extremely high hopes for Barb. I feel like I have for since she got here. She has it. She kind of like, it's hard to explain. Like, you see the way
Yeah.
she plays. She's a hometown girl. Like, you can tell what it means to her, playing at home, playing in front of her family. If you go to the game, she has a huge section um, of her family there, and she's one of those players that she goes all out. She might crash into somebody and get a yellow card for a silly foul, but you can never doubt her energy, her want to. And
Right.
I feel like she's last year we saw her kind of developing that part of her game where she's able to unlock the defense. She can make plays. She even scored a few goals. So, and she's still super young, so she seems to be on the right path.
I'm excited for Barb a lot. That's why I phrased the question: can she be the team MVP? Her excitement and her flair that she brings, and I think with the right players who are surrounding her, and obviously the right coach. We don't know if we got the right coach. He's brand new. She could be something different and just be a playmaker and it's. I just love the way she ended the season last season, but. Defense wins championships. Everybody says this, right? So the back
Yeah.
line. Let's just start with the most recent news. What does the loan of Jalissa Harris mean in your perspective? Is it to give her more minutes that's necessity, or she's just not fitting in with us?
Yeah, they had 27 on the roster with Harris. They had to get down to 26, so
Mhm.
somebody had to go. I thought it might have been Hens, since they picked up Abby Smith, that they might loan, because they loaned Heather Hens out
Right.
in the offseason. So I thought maybe they would loan her out again. Maybe you don't need a third keeper necessarily. But moving Harris, I mean, it's interesting. It basically says Katie Lind is ready, right? She missed all of last season on maternity leave. So I think that's losing Harris, is one thing, but gaining Katie Lind, I think, is the big plus in this equation. You're probably going to see Katie and Paige Nielsen at center backs. Jacobs is a possibility with Paige playing left back. I mean, they have some options. Tarsi, a big loss, right? I
Yeah.
mean, but you had to take that money, right? You were gonna nearly $1 million, one of the largest transfer fees in the women's game. So even without Tarsi, I mean, you still have some options. Sophie Schmidt can play center back if she needs to. Punta Gam we've seen play center back, and then you'll have Westfall probably at right back. Maggie Graham played right back. In the preseason, we saw some. Fabrice is very high on her. I think he says she can basically play anywhere. So, and then Jane is Jane. You know what you're getting from Jane's, and the defense starts there. And they've always been a solid defensive team. So if they can kind of carry that over with the veterans like Katie, like Paige, like Natalie Jacobs that have been there, done that. They've been in the NWSL for years. Defense should be where they excel.
The Dash have always been defensive in the entire history of their friggin' club for some reason. It's just
Yeah.
it's just been the story, and Fran tried to change that up and just really mess that up. But uh, I love that Katie Lynn is back, and I'm relying on her myself to be that starting center back. And I think you named it. Nielsen and Jacobs will be the three, and I say the three because I think we're going to be a 3-5-2 type of formation. Having the two wingers, whoever they be, Patterson maybe just pushing up into the attack high, so getting them elevated and not holding them down and holding them back. But Katie Lynn to me is just going to be huge. If she has a good season, you think this defense could be very stout. Of course, you have Jane back there, not going to let nothing go by, anyways. But can we get the Dash stays back with the defensive line?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, defense feels like it's going to be where they're best at, right? Like you said, they have good center backs. That Jane is goalkeeper of the year, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
She's playing for the national team at SheBelieves Cup. She's one of the, if not the best goalkeeper in the NWSL. So it all starts right there. And if they can be that defensive team, they gave up what 15 goals that one season a couple years ago, which was crazy. They're probably not going to get that elite again, but if they can be a sound defensive team, score some goals, they can surprise some people this year.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. So the starting 11, is it looking to you in your eyes trying to preview the first game and what's going on? Is it looking like it's going to be a solid 11? Is there a lot of rotation, a lot of fighting for those pieces? You said earlier you can Sharpie Ryan in, but for the rest of that lineup, it's well, what do you do?
Yeah, I asked Fabrice about that last week. Like, do you have an 11 in mind? And he was like, "Yeah, we do, but we have a lot of depth and we have a lot of competition. So while we have like a preferred 11, I think there's mix and match in pieces. Based on matchups, based on rest, things like that. I, f- I feel like they're as deep as they've been in some time. Last year, you would look at their bench and be like, what are we gonna do here? um, but now you look at their bench and they have veterans. They have Zoe Matthews, who's like an up and coming young
Yeah.
player. Maggie Graham, who was a great college player. So they're building a actual competitive roster.
I love it. So you mentioned we've got to trim the roster down. So this you kind of maybe answered that question, but are the dash shopping is you brought in $1 million worth of Tarsi, and what do you do with it?
Yeah, and Fabrice touched on that a little. Like I think they're probably set for now. We saying the same thing we saying about the Dynamo. Could it be a summer thing, right?
Yeah,
Lining up with the European windows. Can you go get a player from the WSL or France or somewhere like that? That's probably when they're going to do their shopping. They're probably set for now. The NWSL transfer window actually closes in, I think it's 2 weeks, so it's pretty close. It's right after the season starts, so they don't have a lot of time to get anything done. And these European teams are cranking towards the end of their year. So if they were going to do something, I would think they're probably done for this window. But yeah, like you said, they've got a lot of money, it would seem, and Ted has shown that he's not afraid to spend money on the Dynamo and Dash side. So I could see them making a splash this summer, especially if they start off well.
well, so real quick, since you mentioned it, Ted and doing the things, I think he's doing the right thing. But from your perspective, the sell or the team to be put up on the market, how do you see it in your perspective? And then I'll tell you how I see it in my perspective after your answer.
Yeah, I mean, at first it was like, oh, what's going on here? But I think and Ted even kind of touched on this. They want to bring money into the team. Ted is the head of the expansion committee for NWSL, so
Mhm.
he's seeing what Denver's paying, 100 and something million to get into the league. He's seeing what Boston's paying. He's seeing these valuations, and Ted's a businessman.
Of
He
course.
sees money. He sees 150 million. He sees these big numbers going around, and he's like, "Wait, I can get a piece of that pie." So I think he's trying to bring money into the club to, well, make himself money. Obviously,
Of
he's a business
course.
guy,
Right.
but also improve the club. Right? Like we could talk about this for hours. There's so many different things that they could do to improve HDFC as a whole, and I think that's Ted's ultimate goal.
I think that he really scared people whenever they declared it was the sell of the team, and the team is up for market, but you're not getting the rights of the Dynamo, you're not getting the rights to the stadium, and it scared people to think relocation immediately.
Yeah.
And for the people I was talking to, I tried to calm them down and relax, like, no, this is just a good move. You just relocations thrown out the window like Tim Howard and they've
Yeah,
said.
Tim Howard and Ted both have said relocation is not something that has been brought up, has been discussed. I think Tim has said it's never been a part of his discussions, and
Yeah, yeah.
as part owner, he would probably be in all the discussions.
Yes, yeah, I believe them. I believe them both, and I don't think it would make sense. Like you have the World Cup coming in 2027
Yeah.
too as well. So it only makes sense after the World Cup. You never know, and the investor, he's an entrepreneur, and Ted may sell, but we'll be set up, and he's trying to set us up for success. All right, so where in the standings do we need to finish for this to be considered a success this season? To be considered a success,
You know, finishing not dead last is the
and
first step.
eight make the playoffs for those who are not sure.
We're gonna have our predictions later this week on the website, but I think I have them at about 10th, fighting towards the end of the season for the playoffs. Going from 14th and dead last, and they were pretty much dead last, right? Like you knew that they were the bottom of the table. If they can get up into that 10, 9, 8, even fighting for 8, 7, I think that would be a huge season for them and a big success.
Well, we can say, in my eyes, Angel City is going to be dead last this season. They're just. I apologize to my friends in Angel City, but
Portland is not looking great right now either. They've got half their team gone.
And Wilson now, Sophia Wilson is going to be gone for a minute because she's going to be on maternity leave. And NWSL has great parity as well. So there is, I believe there's been a last to first. Wasn't Gotham last to first? So
yeah, Orlando and Washington were in the final last year, and they both didn't make the playoffs the year before. So.
That game was friggin' awesome the other night to see, and Washington with the win. But we'll come back to Washington here in a minute. So you're saying you think they're going to finish 10th, but what will be considered a success to the team for a finish this season in the standings?
Yeah, I feel like if they can be competitive, right? Like I said, if they can be in that 10, 9, 8. Maybe fighting for a playoff spot, I think they would deem that successful. I mean, I think making the playoffs would be
successful.
Massive success, right? If you can finish in top 8, I think you're on the right track, obviously.
Let's make it to decision day, and if we don't make it, I consider it successful.
Sure.
You're out before that. That makes it just tough. You're still asking questions, but you'll have a lot of games to answer right there. All right, So for the team to have success, we've kind of answered some of this just by just talking. But for the team to have success, where is the biggest impact need to come from? Was it the players, the staff, or is it the front office?
I mean, ultimately, it's going to come down to the players, right? Like, we can talk about the front office and we could talk about the new coaching staff, but the players have got to go out there and do it, right? We talked about Ordonez. She's going to have to do it. We talked about Barb making the step. We talked about Yasmin being a superstar that she could be. And Jane being the best goalkeeper in the league. I mean, if all these things fall into place, you're looking at a good team.
Oh man, I'm excited. So the players, because you believe you have a good staff. We'll find out in Fabrice, and Jessica has been changing everything. She's the last piece that was behind. So last topic before I let you go is we're playing Washington on Friday. It's the opening night, NWSL. Had the Challenge Cup last week to open up the season. We're at home. We're playing the number 2 seed Washington, who just won the friggin' Challenge Cup in a friggin' awesome game against the Pride, even though the Pride was more the dominant team, but Washington was just a defensive stout, man. Give me your preview of Washington versus Houston Dash on Friday night.
Yeah, Washington, if you have a team to play in the first game and a brand new coaching staff, right, and new players, it's like, oh, here we got Washington coming into town.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. Trinity Rodman didn't play in that game on Friday, but she seems to be getting back to fitness. So if Rodman plays, that's scary. 1/3 of the triple espresso. And they have, they have just really good players all around. Their coach is probably one of the best coaches in the world. And Jonathan Heraldez, who came from Barcelona, where they won like every game ever. And Washington's just one of those teams that they've been there, done that now, right? They went to the finals. They just won the Challenge Cup. They are one of those teams that has good young players. They have veteran players. They have the coaching staff. They are them in Orlando are basically what the Dash want to be, right? You went from not making the playoffs. A couple years later, now you're one of the marquee teams in the league, and I think Washington's going to show that on Friday. It's going to be tough for the Dash. I mean, if they can get a result, a 1-1, a 0-0, even we talked about how good their defense is. If you can get a point out of there, I think that would be massive for the season.
I think that's what I'm looking at is a draw. But if we lose, let's see how we lose. Did we competitively lose? We know what Washington is, and we got a brand new team, so we don't know what to expect.
Yep.
Dustyn, thank you for coming into the Foxtrot studio tonight and joining me on the Dash Dispatch. This is Dustyn from Bayou City. Dustyn, man, tell us where the people can find you and give a shout out. I heard there's a new podcast you got going out under Bayou City.
We're following you guys' footsteps, trying to bring more people to the Dash, right? So you can check out Orange and Blueprints. It's Wednesdays. We usually do it live. Manny and Diego doing a good job with that. So we'll have that coming this week. And you can check out all our Dash stuff this week, BayouCitySoccer.net, Bayou City Soccer, all your social medias. You can find us in all those places.
Hey, Dustyn, you need to get on Diego, right? He said there's no depth on this team, so I think y'all might need to have a talk.
We got to talk to some of these guys.
All right, man. I appreciate you, Dustyn, coming on. H is up as always from this side.
Appreciate you guys. Y'all have
Peace,
a good one.
brother. All right, man. That was a good interview. A lot of good information. I enjoyed it very much. Andres, I'm sure you enjoyed it very much. I know you weren't there, but you listened. You got some information to it. But man, we're gonna, we'll come back and we'll talk. Let's just let the people go right into the next one, and let's not even dwell on it at all. So we're gonna take you into the Theo Lloyd-Hughes interview. And I know some of y'all got to know him. If you don't follow his articles, you'll find out soon. Listen, he'll tell you where to go, where to follow. But let's take you into that one now. This is the Dash Dispatch. This is what you've been waiting for. Another awesome interview. Got Dynamic Foxtrot in here with me. But, man, we are privileged. We got Theo Lloyd-Hughes joining us in the studios tonight, man. Welcome in and thank you.
Deep in the heart of Texas, nowhere else I'd rather be. Andres, OSG, my lads, how we doing?
Man,
Amazing.
Yeah, man. Andres, I know y'all got some relationship going back, man. So I'll let y'all. I'm gonna sit back for a second, man. Let y'all enjoy.
Everybody doing good? Everybody doing good?
No, yeah, man, it's been pretty good. A busy off season, 100%. You probably know
Yeah.
that already, but yeah, man, we're just extremely optimistic where the team is heading into 2025. And man, I can't believe the season is just a few days away.
Unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
coming up.
All right, well, Theo, let's just get straight into it, and let's start. Let's start right off, man. Fabrice Gautreau. I don't know if I'm saying his last name correct or not, but man, give us you've been to the press conferences and got to talk to him. I don't know if you met him in person yet, but for the fans and for us, give us your perspective of him and what can the fans expect as him as a coach for this team, the Houston Dash.
Yeah, I've not had the pleasure of meeting Fabrice in the flesh yet, but he seems like a lovely chap. I think he's got a quiet seriousness to him, which I don't think is a accident. I think the Dash were looking for someone who was quite quiet and quite serious. I think that's the vibe the club want to move in, and they've got someone that likes being on the training ground, likes working with players, and is from the outside a very serious sort of footballing mind. He certainly doesn't have much experience, so that's probably what you might hold against him, if anything at this point. There's a lot of unknowns with Fabrice. We've never seen him be a head coach. He's only been in the NWSL 3 seasons. All of those were assistants, 1 year in Chicago, 2 in North Carolina. But I would say that from what we've seen so far, the 2 years he spent in North Carolina are probably more of where his sort of coaching culture is coming from. And in particular, the North Carolina Courage head coach, Sean Nahas, I think is a good sort of role model to look for Fabrice, which could mean, it's too early to say right now, but could mean possession football, very serious ideas of positional play, very sort of tactical mind, someone that wants to be proactive and systemic in the way they want to play football. And like I said, quite serious. I think it's going to be about slow burning with Fabrice. I don't think he's going to make any too many big promises early doors. I don't think he's going to try and, take the worst club in the NWSL and turn them into champions overnight. I think it's going to be quiet, methodical progress. I think that's what the club wants, and I think that's what Fabrice's vibe is.
He's not taking the Fran Alonso approach.
No, and like I said, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think the club had the Fran Alonso experience, and they were like, let's go the other way.
Yeah. Stick to what we know. Yes, you're right, bro. So I love that perspective, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, that's a fair assessment to Fabrice Cotrota as far as I've seen with the media appearances, the time I was able to ask questions with them and everybody else, because he seems very methodical. He seems like he has a plan set for this team that is just trying to turn things around. And honestly, the team is still keeping a lot of the players with the team, one of those being Diana Ordóñez. She was with the North Carolina Courage while Fabrice Cotrota was assistant. And of course, as we all know, Diana Ordóñez is like a breakout year, a breakout rookie season, honestly, and scoring all these goals. And it was just looking back at last year and her numbers previously, it just seemed like it was a shout out for former self, because she's just this incredibly skilled goal scorer and that type of player that we were missing last year. And of course, it was a different system now and then. But do you feel like everything is set for Diana Ordóñez to get back into her scoring ways with Fabrice Cotrota?
Maybe. I think the jury's out. I think the key thing with Diana, there's no question about her talent, her ability to score goals. It's what she was born to do. But she needs people to create and set her up to score goals. She's not someone who can score goals on her own. She's not to think of someone else in this league. Obviously, these are very good players, but someone like Mallory Swanson, someone like Trinity Rodman, they can sort of score from outside the box. They can score anywhere. They can score on a breakaway. They can do a nifty dribble and beat someone one-on-one to create space. That's not Diana's gifts. Diana is a fantastic observer of play, and she knows when to sort of peel off a defender and get a one-touch finish 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards from goal. She likes to be close to goal. So what you need is other people creating chances for her. And in the last 2 seasons when Diana's been there, the Dash just haven't had great chance creators, if we're being totally honest. So to answer your question about will Diana be successful, it's more a question of can Yasmin Ryan put Diana and can Fabrice get Yasmin Ryan to put Diana in positions where she can score. And I just, like I said, kind of in the Fabrice part of the question, I just think it's too early to tell. Dash fans, Houston as a club would love to see Diana find her form from 2022, but I think it's just too early to tell, and it's gonna rely a lot on creative passers in this Dash team stepping up their game.
Follow-up question to Ordóñez.
Yeah.
Maybe is she still hurt? And how long, if you know anything at all? Because she has not played in the preseason.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised. She doesn't seem to be inactive, so it's not like she's not training, but it doesn't seem like she's 100% yet. She had shoulder surgery in the off-season, and it feels like even before she had the surgery, it felt like she had strapping, and it seems like she's nursing an injury on there. So my guess is that Messiah Bright is probably more likely to be the starter on day one, but it doesn't sound like Diana is going to be on the sidelines for too long.
That's definitely good news. So another person that we want in the starting lineup that we're not sure how much we're going to get of her this year is Ramona Bachman. We do know she's got an addition to the family coming very soon. Her wife is pregnant. Congratulations to her family. She still plays with the Swiss national team. I believe it's Swiss. I might get that wrong, but she's here. Right. She's here now. She's only practiced for a couple days, so it's going to be kind of hard to implement her. But my basic question is, how much availability will she give this team this year, and will she be an integral part of the Houston Dash?
It might be a familiar theme, but we don't quite know yet. She is back, like you said. She is back in full training because she linked up with the team so late. 6 weeks into preseason or whatever. I would not expect her to play this weekend. But what I'm hearing from the club is that Ramona is a active part of the squad. She will be competing for a starting role, and that's how it is moving forward. Like you said, it's really hard for anyone, whatever your job is, if you're a post person or a lawyer or whatever, it's hard to be in another country from the people you love, and if you're starting a family, even more so. So I can't speculate as to what things are going to look like, but right now the message is Ramona is a active member of the club and will be competing to be in the squad. Like I said, I think she's probably a few weeks away from really being integrated to a higher level.
So yeah, and of course that was Bachmann, and I would say probably one of the most interesting offensive pieces early in the season when she was playing, and one of the players I was looking forward to. And the next player that you could say was probably the biggest signing of the offseason, Jasmine Ryan. I mean, no introduction needed here. Just with all the contributions she's been giving, where she was previously, and of course, not to mention the national team. This is just a step up completely for the Houston Dash coming out of last year. Do you think she's gonna need a lot of help, or she's gonna hit the ground running in 2025?
I think it's fascinating. I think it's a fascinating moment for the Dash. I think it's a fascinating moment for the league when you have a player who has really had success everywhere she's gone. She was absolutely sensational in Portland's run to winning the title in 2022. Then she goes and does the same thing in Gotham in 2023. So this is a player who, has pretty much only tasted success in the short time she's been in the league. But she's always had great players around her. So, we've seen phenomenal stuff from Yaz. I actually covered Yaz a bit when she was at TCU in college, and I think that's almost more the Yasmine Ryan. Ironically, she played in college with Messiah Bright as well. But that's more the Yasmine Ryan we might see in Houston, because at TCU, she was the 10. She was the key creative heartbeat of the team. She was expected to score goals. She was expected to create. She had pressure on her shoulders to be a special player. I think in Portland and in Gotham, she's done tremendously well as more of a system forward, someone who can play different roles, someone who doesn't necessarily need to be the goal scorer because there's other goal scorers in the team, but who is a fantastic component to a team. Great team player, very, not the biggest personality. I think she's going to be a great team player. But in Houston, a bit like when she was in college at TCU, she's now, whether it's because the club paid $400,000 for her, because she got a new contract, she is sort of the star here. And, credit, you do got to give some credit to the ownership there. They've put their money where their mouth is a little bit by backing Yaz and saying, this is a US Women's National Team player in the prime of her career, and we're going to take her to Houston, we're going to invest in her. But there's also, now it's on Yaz to show up and be like, I can be a team leading player in the NWSL without, Lynn Williams next to me or without Rose Lavelle next to me. That is a very different thing. And, for me, my personal take is I back Yasmine Ryan. Like I said, I've been watching her play since she was 19 at TCU, and I think she's a very, very special player. But we've also seen players come to Houston and not always have the easiest time. You just mentioned Diana Ordonez, right? Scores 11 goals in a rookie season in North Carolina Courage, comes to Houston, that drops down to 3. So, can we see a player increase their trajectory, increase their stardom in Houston? That's a big challenge because we haven't really seen too much of that. But I really believe in Yaz's talent.
Ooh, looking forward to what she can bring to this team this year. But you mentioned Yasmine Ryan. There's also a lot of other new players that have been added to this team this season, which was kind of a revelation to some of the fans. We needed something new. We can't keep the same players that we kept re-signing. We're like, what are we going to do? We got new players. So Westfall, Colaprico, Sheehan, play with Ryan. Messiah Bright, you mentioned. Graham from Duke University, man. Will these new additions be contributing players? Will any of them be able to push for the starting lineup, or are they just depth? And of any of those, which one of them will stand out this season?
I think Messiah is a really interesting one. A bit like Diana, she had a very good rookie year in Orlando. got a big move to Angel City for $165,000, and it didn't pay off. Really couldn't play. She actually didn't score a single goal for Angel City last year. So she's from Texas. She's a Texas kid. She's got a bit of a chip on her shoulder. And, like we said, Deanna's had her struggles in Houston, right? So I think Messiah is going to be a player who's going to say, hey, I can come to Houston. I can win a starting role. I can get some minutes here. And so I think she's definitely one to watch. Great competitor, very serious competitor. Again, from watching her at TCU, she was one of those kids when she came into the college game, just, doesn't believe anyone is better than her. She's got a great attitude to try and go out and win games on the pitch. I think Dani Colaprico is a good one to watch in terms of the personality in the locker room, a glue player. She's been in the league 10 years. She is someone who I think is going to get on with a lot of people, is going to keep this unit really tight. She may not start every game, but I think that her personality is going to be, big in the leadership component. And she's had success in this league, both many playoff seasons with Chicago and the Shield win with San Diego under Casey Stoney. So, yeah, I think Messiah and Dani Colaprico will play big roles. I do think Maggie Graham is interesting. She is another player with, that never say die attitude. She was a fierce competitor at Duke. Had a really phenomenal 2024 where I think her profile raised even higher. Yeah. I think, she was like and Duke as well had a very, very good 2024, making it to the Final Four of the NCAA championship. So this is a school that sort of broke out from, let's say, the sort of upper mid-tier to the top tier, and Maggie Graham was one of their stars. So I think she's a player who has kind of burst onto the scene a little bit later in the college game. So it'll be interesting to see how much they back her to take another step, right? She's already made one leap during her college career. She wasn't necessarily touted as like the next big thing, but she's a player at 22, 23 who's sort of on the rise. She's developing right now. But I think the Dash need to get younger. They need to get faster. They need to get more physical. And so Maggie might offer something, whether it's off the bench, she might offer something that there isn't too much of at the club right now.
That's great news hearing about that bench. And Maggie has scored in preseason for us, so that's good to see, even though we can't tell really how that happened. But
and that reminds me a lot of Amanda West, last year. Yeah. She's able to come in and break through everything and exceed expectations in a way, especially with a team set up like it was last year. And also one of those breakout players that, no bias, honestly, Barbara Olivieri, no introduction needed as well for me. But yeah, man, I feel like this team is also set up for her in a way that she's just going to be able to succeed. And for you, do you feel like it's going to be the same, that she's going to be able to, just put this team on the next level? Not necessarily kind of like Jasmine Ryan, but, in her own way?
Well, that's the thing, right? If Yaz is going to come in and be more of the star, what does that do to someone like Barbara, who at the end of 2024, obviously a tremendously disappointing season, but Barbara, on an individual perspective, grew a lot last year. I think she spoke about Andy McKeown, who's the strength and conditioning guy for the Dash. She spoke about the work that he had done, getting her more physically ready for the NWSL in her second season. And I think she also, gave a lot of compliments to Ricky Clark for helping develop her game. And Ricky kind of pushed her forward to be more of a number 10, be almost get into centre forward positions too. Though towards the end of the season, you had Yuki playing as a false 9 and Barbara behind her. And Olivieri's given a lot more freedom, and she was also taking penalties to sort of be the star, especially as Ordonez got hurt as well. So how Barbara comes back into the fold, maybe as less of the focal point, will be interesting. If Yaz is the number 1, maybe Barbara is the number 2 from the kind of creative attacking midfielder point of view. I also think there isn't that much width, or especially left-footed width in this team. So is there an opportunity for Barbara to play from a wide area and she sort of cuts in on her right foot? I think that would be the thing. But I think Barbara is a player, again, on the ascendancy, one of the younger players on the team the last couple of years. Where she fits in with Fabrice's methodical approach, like I said, maybe she won't be as much of the centre point, but I think she can offer a lot.
I'm really hopeful on her potential, and I kind of was saying she might be the team MVP, but that's yet to be seen. We got to see the team play and see how Fabrice plays. But that moves on to the defensive side of this game, and kind of a 3-parter, multi-parter, however many parter, man. But we don't know what Fabrice is going to do yet with this formation and what style is he going to be. It's going to be a 3-back. Is it going to be a 4-back and the 3-back playing with the 2 wingers? Katie Lynn, how important of a return is she going to be to the team to replace Tarsi? Is she going to be that Katie Lynn or that Katie Naughton to technically that we want from her? And then Jalissa Harris was loaned out. Is that to give her more minutes to because she needs minutes and doesn't have it here, or does she not fit in?
Yeah, the Jalissa thing caught me a bit by surprise. Again, she was a player who in 2024 was starting to get more minutes, started to play more. Obviously, Katie was on maternity leave,
right?
So that might have been why Jalissa was more used in the team. But Jalissa did get a new contract in the summer, I believe, through 2027. So that's a 3-year deal. So it's not like the club don't want her around.
Okay, good.
But Katie, I would argue, in the last half decade, so the last 5 years, I would argue she's been one of the most important players for Houston, and probably one of the most important players in Houston Dash history. A bit like I was saying about Danny Colaprico, so important in the locker room, such a leader. People listen to Katie. She's very even keeled. She's very calm. You know, when the shit hits the fan. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that, but when the shit hits the fan, you look to Katie, and I think she is going to make a huge difference on this team. And yeah, if she's getting more minutes, Jalissa's probably thinking, I'm at a point in my career where I need to be playing, and maybe I'll get a short-term move.
I'm with it, man. So good, Katie Lynn. 3-back or 4-back? Are we looking at 2 wingers on this side?
4-back is my guess, but I don't know. Like you said, we got to stream 1 game of preseason in Coachella.
Yeah.
So, you know, in that game there was a little bit of in the second half where I think they went to a 3-back, but I'm still expecting a 4-back. But
interesting. I'm hoping for the 3-5-2 situation, but not pushing like Fromm was pushing, but you know, focused on let's play the game and let's focus on defense and tactics and pushing up. But we'll see, like you said.
Yeah, and it makes you think when it comes to how this team is going to roll out, and if Fabrice Coutral is going to come out with the best lineup available, or he has like a preference of who is going to be playing. And for me, I feel like it's going to be the earlier when it comes to having the best team possible right now. And Theo, for now, do you feel like it's going to be like that, or more so what he believes are his like preferred starters?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you're playing one of the best teams, you know, in regards to Friday night. You're playing one of the best teams in the country, albeit they are missing a lot of players themselves through injury, the Washington Spirit. So, you know, could we see a more defensive version of the Houston Dash right on Friday? Your first home game, your first game as a head coach. Maybe you're like, okay, I don't want to lose this one. So maybe I drop in a lower block. Maybe I play 5 defenders. You know, I think we could see a more of a defensive version of Houston. But my gut says, going back to the short amounts of Fabrice we've had, my gut says, I think he's going to play his best 11. And he's going to start working on, again, the process, the methodology, the idea of putting the building blocks one by one in place and say, let's start off the season trying to do the little things right, my preferred 11, let's play our way at home. And let's not necessarily try and adapt too much to the opponent, especially because of the Spirit's injury situation. I actually think it's quite hard to predict the Spirit's 11. They obviously played the Challenge Cup on Friday night, so we do know a little bit more about the Spirit than maybe any of the other teams. But yeah, it's still very hard to see what they're going to do. Trinity Rodman obviously missed the Challenge Cup with a back injury. She might be there on Friday night. So I wouldn't expect on the first day of the season Fabrice to worry too much about trying to negate or like react to what the Spirit is going to do and go too defensive. I think he's going to try and set out his 11 to start building those relationships.
I like that. All right, so the roster is pretty fulfilled, and we kind of thought Jalissa got moved because not only she needs minutes, but because we're limited on the roster spots. Are the Dash shopping? We got rid of Tarsi. We brought in $1 million, but we haven't done anything since. Are the Dash shopping for anything? Are they in the market?
I think the answer you're going to get is they're always in the market. You know, clubs, NWSL clubs, big clubs, they always want to be improving their roster. So the fact that the Dash have somewhere around $800,000 in their pocket burning a hole in their pocket means that they are going to be in the market. I think the smart move, and Angela, Hucles Mangano is going to be trying to be smart with that money, is going to think, how can I make the most of this money? Where can I improve? She's not going to want to rush a signing. People listening to the show should know that the international transfer window for players incoming to the NWSL will close on the 24th of March. But trades can happen from within the NWSL after that date. So if there's a player from Mexico, if there's a player from Europe, if there's a player from Brazil, if there's a player from Africa that the club wants to bring in, they have until the 24th of March. If they want to go out and spend a lot of money on an NWSL, a current NWSL player, they have longer. So to that point, yes, they're probably looking at someone, but I don't know the timeline. They could be waiting 2 weeks. They could be waiting 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. But we have to imagine at some point we're going to see more high-profile reinforcements.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And we've been seeing a lot of movement from the Dash, obviously, with new management, you could say. And from our perspective, obviously, selling Tarsiana for like the biggest fee in club history tells you a lot, like right from the get-go. And just looking forward to it and whatever they come up with during the season, if it comes out to that. And of course, one of the expectations, obviously, the new players coming in, and just the optimism altogether. It's really how we're gonna finish out the season, or just like start wondering about it, because obviously we have to start. But it just makes you wonder, because how this team looks and how they look to one-up themselves from last year. Granted, it's kind of like a little bit of a low ceiling to cross, but still, like, where do we expect, or like, where do we measure that type of success in the standings? Obviously, making the playoffs is probably the best way to improve, but where do you see this team finishing in the standings altogether?
I think
to make it a successful season.
Yeah. I think to make it a successful season, to your point about how they finish, I think the back 13 games, if you cut the season in two, the second set of 13 games, so the second half of the season, has to be better than the first half. I think to some extent that would be viewed as a successful season. So let's say Fabrice struggles over the first 6-8 weeks. The idea is that he identifies those issues, or maybe a new player arrives in July, and the Dash finish strong and go into 2026 on more of an upswing. I think that would be viewed as a successful season. I don't think playoffs would be the be-all and end-all. I think if they finish 10th, or if they are 2 games back of the playoffs near the end of the season, so let's say 4 points, 3 to 4 points, 6 points max, I think that could be viewed as a success if you're near the playoffs. I think you've got to remember this club was at rock bottom last year. So I don't think you need to rush things. And again, I don't think Fabrice is someone to rush things, and I don't think the club has told him he needs to rush things.
No, of course
I think the idea is take your time, get it right. And so, it's hard, right? In soccer, whether it's MLS, whether it's European soccer, whether it's South American soccer, African, whatever you watch, in football and soccer, it's not easy to give managers and teams time. So it's a big test for the Dash ownership and the Dash fan base. Can they give Fabrice and this team time? But my read is that yes, time is the plan. And if, I think they got, what did the Dash get last year? 20 points? 24 points? 20, right, 20 on the dot. I think if they got 30 points, 32 points, that would be viewed as an improvement. Let's say that. And what did you need to get in the playoffs last year? 38 or something? 36?
Something like that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
can't
Them.
I would maybe for 40 points. Yeah, you could say
Is that right? You say 40?
a little bit less than 40. You could say, yeah.
Andres, you can look it up real
32.
quick. 30,
I looked it up.
30,
32.
32.
You needed
Ooh,
32 to get in the playoffs.
So
last year.
what you were saying? What you were saying?
That was
Okay.
that was off the top of my head, but yeah, I think 30. Let's say 30 points then. So just outside the playoffs, I think 30 points, maybe even 28. You got to improve on last year, right? But I would argue that last year was so bad. I actually think you've probably got to get close to 30 points. Because what's that? 3 more wins than last year. But yeah, like I said, if the second half is better, but there's a few answers in there for you. But yeah,
of course,
not playoffs.
I'll take
but
improvement for sure.
Yeah. I'm hoping we're competitive on decision day. Like decision day, we're trying to make the playoffs. That's where I'm hoping. If we don't make it, like you said, we're competitive, and you've brought your level up, and it's not like what it's been. So, and Fabrice does have time. I concur with that. So, for the team as a whole to have success, where does the biggest impact need to come from? Is it going to be the players? Is it going to be the coaching staff? Or is it going to be the front office? I know the front office has done a lot of work now, kind of put themselves aside, but for this team to success beyond this year and beyond this year, where does the biggest impact need to come from, or even just start now?
I mean, I think with all clubs to some extent, it's the front office, the club itself. Ted Siegel's obviously said out loud he's exploring opportunities to sell the Dash or sell parts of the Dash. So that could be a big change. That could be a huge change in the front office or the infrastructure of the club. I think the Dash probably need their own training ground. I think they probably need more of investment in parts of the support staff. Last year, Fran obviously was the big one in terms of disappearing, but they also lost an assistant coach mid-season. They changed technical directors. There's been so much staff turnover in Houston that really, when you talk about the things you mentioned about where they need to get it right, or where, what can affect the club the most in the future, it's probably having reliable investment in staffing that sticks around for more than 1 year. That's probably going to have the biggest effect. That being said, if you're going to say on the pitch, what is the biggest thing that needs to show up? It's probably scoring goals. This team over the past 2 seasons has not scored enough goals. And where we started this conversation, right? Deanna has not scored enough goals. They haven't necessarily put money into the centre forward position yet, which maybe that's where they're trying to spend the Tarsiani money. They've put it more into Yaz as sort of a creative behind the forward. So all that is to say, on the pitch, if they were to go out and get a goal scorer, that might be the biggest change.
Creativity. So I'm with you though. The staff long term is what the stability is definitely needed.
That's where the stability comes.
Yeah, the biggest. I agree with you. The need is the players need to perform. The coaching, the staff needs to succeed and just not be flaky. Lady was, I don't know what happened to Lady. I was confident in him, and then he just fell. And then Fran Alonso comes on and just disappears. So different. Yeah, whatever. I'm with you. The front office.
Yeah, and obviously, whenever the season starts, it's going to take a collective effort, not just the staff and of course the players, but really just everyone all together, just to come out of a pretty bad season like last year. And on paper, we have everything that we need so far to just have a better season overall and improve over time. And really just to look forward for this Friday. Obviously, Washington Spirit coming out of the Challenge Cup victory, and before then coming out of the NWSL Championship final. Fortunately for them for the loss, but of course against a great team like Orlando, it's kind of hard to beat. And still, obviously we kind of just chatted about them missing players, but still this is going to be a big test for the Dash, not just because of the injuries. Washington is still a pretty consistent team altogether, and of course, for us, it's going to be the first time we're going to be seeing them in action, in serious action, and just looking forward to see how this team's going to be. But just looking forward to this game, really. Like, obviously, we need a lot of goals, and the defense just to be stable, but, like, what do you feel like we're going to be seeing in this game, or, like, how, looking out for, like, the remainder of the season, what do you expect from this game altogether?
Friday night, I think you're going to see a team in the Spirit who are very confident on the ball. They're going to want to come out and dominate, put Houston under pressure. And I think we saw both in the Challenge Cup and actually in the Championship final back in November, both games against Orlando, that you can beat the Spirit if you're quick in transition. You win, you make the midfield battle really hard, and then you spray passes, you get the ball up, you play vertical football, and you get the ball up really quick. You can catch this Spirit team off guard. And actually on Friday night in the Challenge Cup, I think set pieces were a very vulnerable position for the Spirit too. So you think about someone like Katie Lind coming back, can she win a header on a corner kick or something? Yasmin Ryan's delivery from set pieces, I think, could be a huge factor. I don't think in the NWSL any team is unbeatable, even though the Orlando last year were very close to being unbeatable. They only lost 2 games. But, I think the Spirit are good. They're very good. Whether or not they have Rodman, whether or not they have Kouassi, they do have big names missing. But I think they're going to come in and want to be dominant and confident on the ball, and the Dash have the opportunity to try and catch them on the break. And if they're very strong, if the Dash concentrate a lot and play counter-attacking football, I think they're going to have an opportunity to cause the upset. I just think you've got to withstand a very confident team in the Spirit who are going to come in and want to put the Dash under pressure.
What's a predictive score line for you in this game?
On Friday night?
Yes. I was thinking a defensive game no matter what.
It depends if Rodman plays, I think.
Damn.
The Spirit will probably win.
Gotta wear
and
one
if the Spirit aren't winning, they'll probably bring Rodman off the bench. That's probably the more likely thing, is that, maybe it's 0-0 at half time and Rodman comes off the bench. But, I'd probably say 2-1 Spirit if you had to get it out for me.
Rodman does have to go against Paige Nielsen, though. That's going to be her side. So I'm hoping number 14 is a dog and will handle Trinity.
Yeah, they actually used to play with each other at the Washington Spirit. Paige, before she was playing for Angel City. Yeah, she was with Rodman for 1 season in Washington. So that would be interesting as well, just in terms of knowing how someone plays, right? Rodman's obviously grown up a lot since then. She was a kid back then. But big season for Paige, someone we haven't mentioned yet, but really solid. Probably a player that came out of a tough season last year with a lot of credit in the bank. And I think she's becoming a real leader on this Dash team. So, yeah, big night for her on Friday.
Yeah, real quick, you did say Paige Nielsen doesn't get a lot of mention, but we do recognize her 100%. I just wanted to make sure that's clear. The Houston fans recognize Paige Nielsen, respect her, and love her. She doesn't get a lot of the recognition, but I think that's more she's private and she does what she can. She's in videos, but you know what? You reminded me, we do need to talk more about Paige Nielsen this season and give her the recognition that she deserves. And I'm looking forward to it, man. But Theo, Andres, or she, that's myself, by the way. I think we've come down to the end of this. I thoroughly enjoyed this. This has been a great for you, Theo, a little over 30 minutes, but this has been a great hour and 15 minutes for me tonight, listening to every bit of perspective that we've gotten. But Theo, please tell the people who are listening, the fans that know you, the fans that don't know you, who you are, where they can find you, where they could read, I believe, right? Where they could read your information and tell them where we can follow you.
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky these days at Theo Lloyd-Hughes, TheoLloydHughes. Also on Instagram, same handle, at Theo Lloyd-Hughes. You can come to my website that I run called squaddepth.com. where I've been busy with some other jobs, so it's not always been as updated as I want it to be, but I put a lot of personal storytelling and a lot of Houston Dash stuff up on there. And I also do the Athletic podcast full-time with Meg Linehan and the full-time Review, which is a new Monday show we got going. So please come listen and subscribe to that.
Yeah.
Also writing at Sports Illustrated. So yeah, I'm busy chatting NWSL, chatting international women's football. So
Mr. Worldwide.
Worldwide, yeah. But yeah, always love to join you lads and love the positivity and support you give to Houston soccer across the board. Like that's what it's all about, you know.
Mr. Worldwide, I definitely want to thank you, with the heart, everything, and we respect and appreciate everything that you do and what you do for the community, not just for the community, but just for the fans to follow and to understand what's going on in Houston, the NWSL, everything that you provide, and like you said, Squad Depth. Please go subscribe, follow, read his articles, listen. Like he said, is an important, intriguing piece to follow and listen to, and I get a lot of information out of him. I know Andres does as well. So, Theo, we want to thank you very much, and we appreciate you coming on the Dash Dispatch tonight. And I look forward to talking to you again later on this season. We're not going to wait another year before we talk to you again.
Absolutely,
we're gonna get you in.
Love to chat, and hopefully it's good news. I feel like I've talked a lot of Houston Dash over the last couple of years, and I feel like it's always people want to know the bad news. So, Houston Dash, the challenge is let us talk about some good news this year. Yeah,
let's bring it on. Hey, like you said, A.B. Patterson,
Please.
Paige Nilsson,
yes,
and Barb MVP. You just play.
MVP.
There's so many players to talk about. We have so much to look forward to this season. But yeah, man, this is such a big episode, and I want to thank the listeners that are listening so far. But man, Theo, thank you. You ever need anything from us, reach out. We got your back. I don't know what we could do for you, but hey, we're there for you, brother.
Just keep bringing the love. No, great to see you guys.
Yes, sir. That's it. That's Theo Lloyd-Hughes, man. H is up. Well, OMG, that was nuts. That's a lot of great information. I want to thank Theo Lloyd. I want to thank Dustyn Richardson for jumping in and giving us all this information. Andres, I know that was a lot of beautiful information to take.
A lot of content right there.
yeah. And so I guess I do want to apologize at the same time for this being a long episode. So I hope you get a chance to listen to it before the Friday night game. If not, please, come back. It's a lot of good information that you can use throughout the year. Obviously, this is the end of the show, so I'm not trying to talk you into listening to it. You already listened to it. You made it this freaking far.
It's so late.
yeah. So that's going to be on us to promote those interviews. But man, Andres, real quick, now that you've heard everything you and I didn't have you on at the beginning earlier in the week, but the roster. I'm going to tell you what my starting lineup is. I'm going to tell you, and I want you to just reply back if you have anything different, and then I think we'll just kind of kick it off and just let these people get out of here and be done, because they're going to hear us back in a few days, like Sunday or Monday night anyway. So, man, my lineup right now is Campbell, obviously going to be in the starting goal. Probably Abby Smith will be her replacement when she goes out for U.S. national team. I'm going to go with the 3-back. I'm doing Paige, I'm doing Katie Lynn, and I'm doing Jacobs as a 3. Okay, so I got 5 in the midfield, and I'm putting Patterson on the left. I'm putting Yasmin Ryan on the right. So yes, Yasmin Ryan's going to be a little defensive, but I think the way the style that Fabrice is bringing will allow her not to have to pull back so far back. Patterson does it naturally, so you might kind of see like a little bend thing situation where Patterson's more and Ryan's up more. Or, yeah, Patterson's down, Ryan's up. Okay, and then you're going to have, I think it's going to be Puntingham and Sheehan. I like Schmidt, but I don't think Schmidt is going to be coming back off the roll, and she could be a role player coming center back, CDM, for her last 2 years. So I kind of like Sheehan. Dustyn mentioned Sheehan, Theo did not, but up for grabs. I'm not going to complain if it is Schmidt. Schmidt's a dog, but I think you have two of those 3 are going to start, and then up top, I think it's going to be Barb as the cam, and then you have. I would love to see Bachman start right now, but it's going to be Messiah Bright and Bachman, or it's going to be Messiah Bright and wow, I really don't know. It might be a Ryan Gary's kind of starting in a situation where necessary. I don't know what you're going to do right there. So
It's
I
a
might be
toss up.
I might be missing a player just thinking off of mine, but go ahead and let people what you may think your starting 11 is for this Friday night.
Honestly, for me, I feel like this is you might have like the closest guess to how it's gonna look like. And granted, I would say like a lot of these, we do have a lot of players that want to get a lot of opportunities, especially in the defense because we did get not just a Tarsiani leaving, which is a big piece that's gonna be missing, but also Julissa Harris, she's gonna be out of loan, and really like I feel like the backline you have, I feel like it's gonna be the closest one. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
the other player to watch for this season is gonna be Zoe Matthews because she's gonna be getting a lot of opportunities to play like throughout the season. Not necessarily starting right now, but obviously it's gonna turn up to that just because of how of her upside and how she's just being able to like perform like on a short term last year. This year is gonna be a lot different. I feel like. And of course, we'll be looking forward to how the backline is going to be looking like, especially with Katie Lynn returning. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. And in the midfield, I feel like it's like defensively first. I feel like that's the closest assessment. I feel like Schmidt and Puttingham are going to be the most relied on for now. And yeah, I feel like she might come in here and there. In Colo Rico, I feel like she might have like a step up over everyone else. I, like, honestly, like how it could turn out, she could even start, as far as we know, but we don't know.
Put
It's
four
all
in
in
there.
my right. Yeah, and it makes so much sense. So we have a lot of midfielders. It's a good problem. So it's great. But I mean, up top is like the biggest question mark because like how it's gonna be structured and all that. But Barb's gotta start. In my opinion.
Yeah, will Barr be the cam or play a forward because of necessity, and then somebody else gets that cam position just because Ordonez is hurt, and the only Messiah is Amanda West capable of starting. We don't know what she's been doing, so yeah, I'm interested to the starting 11 as well. But man, Dashers, y'all been listening for a long time. It's getting close to my bedtime as we record late on Tuesday friggin' night. Andres has got a lot of editing still to do to put this friggin' episode together because we did a lot these past few days just to put this episode together. So I apologize again for that, but we're gonna keep it simpler as we go through the season. But you never know. I'm gonna lie to you because I may just pop something
Yeah.
out my. I just something. I'm looking. I've been networking and trying to find friends. So we're going to try to bring you more NWSL, more Houston Dash. This
More.
is the Dash Dispatch. As you see in the logo, the little fox is reading the paper. So there is information there to go on, man. There is information to
Always.
go on there. So follow us, follow me. I will be your host the entire season, hopefully for more information. Follow us on Foxtrot Game Days, that Dash included. You've obviously seen some on Dynamo. Dash will be included. Andres, bro, any last words and tell the people where to follow?
Man, all season long, we're gonna be bringing you all the news. This season is gonna be amazing for the Dash, so it's extremely important that you stay up to date with everything that happens, and of course, like through our social media channels, where you're used to follow us for Dynamo at Dynamic Foxtrot, at Null Tiempo on Twitter, now X, and Instagram. We're gonna be updating you no matter what. And the most important thing, man, we do have like 6 or 7 broadcasting services for the Dash this year. So we'll be telling you where the games are gonna be if they're on the road, if they're
Yeah.
at home. Get those tickets right now. Support the Houston Dash because they need our support, especially this year. Like it's a brand new team, a lot of new good spirits all together. We're gonna go out and support the Dash. I'll be there on opening day. OSG's gonna be there on opening day. We're gonna be at all the games that we can make it. It's gonna be a Friday night, man. It's prime time. Probably might be the best weather of in a while. So man, just go get to those games, man. Let's support the Dash.
Prime time on NWSL Plus. If you're at home watching or not at the stadium, I don't know why you're not at the stadium on a Friday night with perfect weather, cheap tickets, and it's opening friggin' night at home against a tough team. So we come out with a win, you're going to go home the happiest people. And it's a doubleheader weekend because the Dynamo are at home on Saturday night. So I demand you're there on Friday night. Look for both of us. We're in the booth at 103. Come say hi. Whether you see us on the concourse or come around the front and wave through us through the window, we might be sitting outside. But come find us. We'd love to talk to you. We'll interview you, and we'll throw you up on Foxtrot game day. But man, I think that's enough. I think we've had enough. I haven't had enough, by the way. We could just keep on going and keep on going and keep on
We
going.
never have enough.
No, but we do have to stop. We do have to give these people a break and let them move on to their next show, whatever they want to listen to, or catch their own little crime podcast or whatever's next. But man, I am OSG. That's the Dynamics Foxtrot. Andreas. I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on with me tonight, man. We had Theo, we had Dustyn. We look forward to more. There's going to be a lot of guests coming on this show this season. And I don't know who this guest is going to be next week. There might be a guest, there might not be a guest, but y'all look forward to it. I'm not afraid to bring anybody and everybody on. I look forward to getting you player interviews this season, where I run down to Houston on Fridays and try to catch the Dash after practice. Hey, I'm confident we'll be able to get that. Andres is going to be there with me. He's making more trips to Houston this season. So y'all look for us. Scream for us. It's OSG. It's Foxtrot. And we're going to throw our H's up.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you, Houston, H-Town, and all around. We're out. Peace. Holy fuck.